This is not an emotionally charged game. The Niners are supposed to win. No one's saying they're bad. In fact, most people are saying they're good and they're going to make the playoffs and go on a run, that they're dangerous. So now we're back to, can the Niners motivate themselves? Last week, they didn't motivate themselves. The whole world motivated them. Called them. I mean, Steve Young said there were no dogs on the team. Jerry Rice too. Now, can you motivate yourself to beat a team you're supposed to beat? And really, they came out hot in this game, right? They had that really nice drive to start off, and Jimmy Ward had 2 picks. That's not going to happen again, most likely. So what this team is known for this season is slow starts, being flat, not having a clear identity. If Elijah Mitchell can't play because he has a broken finger, what happens? 10 a.m. start on the road in a short week. Are they going to have another flat start? Are they going to let Jacksonville hang around? Because Jacksonville has a really, really, really good defense, even though their offense is terrible. I'm curious to see, I'm not really convinced that this Niners team won't play down to their competition. I mean, they were losing at halftime against the Chicago Bears. Beat them. But the Niners basically mess around unless the whole world says you guys need to step it up, and they're on Monday Night Football. So I'm not necessarily sure they're just going to take care of business in Jacksonville, because taking care of business isn't what this team does.
Yeah, I guess you could call this a trap game, especially coming off the emotional high of beating a division opponents that had such a good record and things like that. So this is definitely something where they have to play the same style of football. Also, it should not be underestimated, looking ahead to this game, looking back to the hot start that we got against the Rams. Stafford threw an absolute Hail Mary bogus football that was straight at Jimmy Ward.
Thank you.
That is the worst pass I have seen him make since he has been a Ram. Maybe I've missed some, but you could not throw a worse ball. It was just a beautiful spiral, 10 yards ahead of his receiver. OBJ managed to almost cover the interception by
like a fair catch,
Jimmy
right?
Ward.
He was like, I got it.
He looked like he was playing center field.
Yeah, exactly.
First off, Jimmy Ward, good job on catching the ball. Part of being a defensive back is just being there. But the hot start the 49ers got was terrible play by Matthew Stafford.
Thank you.
And I'm not saying that Trevor Lawrence is going to come out there and outplay Matthew Stafford. He's a rookie, but he has high upside. And if he gets off to a hot start, what will the 49ers do? So that's where they still, just like the reason the Rams, they got to within 1 score, they should have stuck to their run game. They should have slowed the game down. They should have done what the 49ers did. The 49ers need to do the same thing in Jacksonville. They need to punch them in the mouth, and if the defense is good, they need to wear them down. Because the Rams, they were sitting on lawn chairs by the end of that game. Even Donald, he had to come out. And what did the 49ers do?
The Rams gave the game away immediately with those 2 turnovers. What if Jacksonville just holds serve and doesn't turn the ball over twice or once even in the first quarter, and the Niners once again find themselves in a really close game with a bad team at halftime?
Exactly. Now, I'm not saying the story of the entire season. The Rams. But it's just the Rams gift wrapped that football game. They absolutely did. Yeah. They did everything they could to make sure we win.
Yeah. So to me, this game is really interesting. The Niners should win the game. Jacksonville scores 16 points a game. You should beat that team. But here's the thing. If Jacksonville was asking me, as a consultant, what do we do? How do we beat the Niners? It's simple. I mean, it's not simple, but there's one thing you do. You do that thing that Arizona did where you put 6 big guys on the line and you get the 49ers to abandon the run game. Because they've shown that if you have certain game early on, he will abandon it. If you can do that and you get them to drop back 50 times, you just wait for the turnovers to happen, because they will. So I'm curious. I mean, it's amazing that the Rams couldn't get that done when the previous opponent just showed them how to do it. But maybe the Jaguars are paying better attention. If they do that, I'm curious to see if Kyle just abandons his identity again.
I think Jacksonville does go the way of what the Cardinals did, but just to give the 49ers a little bit of credit, what they did is they took advantage of a gift-wrapped lay-and-egg game by the Rams, but they played really well as far as sticking to a game plan that works. I have to say, I give the whole team a D for Debo, but it's an A across the board as far as the coaching, the play calling, sticking to the game plan, couple things to clean up, but all in all, just a really good game. That's what happens when you play solid football against this helter-skelter panic football game the Rams played. But they're not going to get the Jacksonville Jaguars to do that unless they force the issue. Lawrence, he has some issues in passing, but he is a much more mobile quarterback than Stafford. So he will be going, because here's the thing. I did not see that. I know Colt McCoy is a little bit mobile, But he ended up looking like Kyler Murray against
35.
the 49ers because they
Yeah.
wouldn't set the edge against him. They would
Sure.
not. They wouldn't push the pocket back into him. It was the wrong defensive game plan. They will have to review what they did when going against the Jaguars, because the Jaguars, they are going to be forced to make magic. They will be going for it, I think, on things like 4th and 3, maybe even 4th and 4 from midfield. When you are the worst team in the first quarter, if you have 4th and 4 on the 50-yard line, you should go for it.
Also, remember how good Justin Fields looked against the 49ers in Chicago just a month ago?
Lawrence is the better quarterback.
Lawrence is better than him. So look,
Absolutely.
Jacksonville's offense is terrible. He doesn't have any receivers. He's a really good player, just like Justin. It's very similar. I mean, Chicago's offense is terrible. I think they came into that game scoring 14 points a game and then managed to get up in the 20s against the Niners, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, the issue here is the Jacksonville defense. It's really good. They're giving up like 270 yards total per game since their bye week three weeks ago. They beat the Bills, who are the best team in the AFC. Maybe
that was amazing.
They beat the Bills. They kept them to 6
49ers
points.
Are now going to go face them at home. They really should respect this game, and I think they will. I hope they will. But you're right. This is not to be
If they're like,
lightly.
oh, we're going to throw 50 times and beat Jacksonville. No. You won't. You will not beat Jacksonville. They have to play exactly how they played against the Rams. And even then, it's going to be harder because this is a much better defense than the Rams defense. It's going to be much better. They have a really good linebacker in Miles Jack. They're going to be much better against the run than the Rams were. So it's going to be a tougher. I mean, it wasn't hard at all for the 49ers offense against the Rams. It's going to be really tough. And what the Niners have shown all year is that they have slow starts. And this isn't Monday Night Football with emotion. This is a non-emotional game where it's all about have a standard. Don't play down to your opponent. It's a Sunday. It's a Monday. It's a Sunday morning game. It's a Sunday morning game. Who cares? You're a good team. Play the same way every week. And the Niners haven't shown they can do that. So I'm curious.
Yeah, this is definitely a trap game, perhaps more than the Cardinals game with Colt McCoy, because like you said, there's a good defense, and that is absolutely a way to undo Kyle Shanahan's defense. If he gets into a shootout style game, I honestly feel that suits him more than a defensive slow game.
Yeah. I mean, if he doesn't trust his defense that day, if he doesn't trust his running game that day, he panics. And here's the thing. We don't know if Elijah Mitchell's going to play. He didn't practice on Wednesday. We'll see if he practices today. He has a pin in his hand. It seems a little ambitious to ask a guy who just had surgery to play a running back? What's he going to do? Have a club on his hand? Maybe he will play. But if he doesn't, Kyle has shown that there's only 2 running backs on this team that he trusts. Mitchell and Wilson. Mostert too, but he's out for the year. He doesn't trust Trey Sermon. He doesn't trust JaMychal Hasty to do anything more than be a third down back. So if they don't have Mitchell, they're not going to be able to run the ball 40 times, let alone 30.
The goal should be at least 30 totes. I would have to say they have to get into the 30s, if not 35. And if they can get into 40, I think it's because they're winning the football game. I really wish Sermon would get enough. Here's the thing about being a running back is that it's not just what you do per carry. It's what you do per game. And Trey Sermon is a bruiser-style running back who does find the lanes and hit them with everything he's got. He's not a small man. He's a strong guy. This is a guy who gets better as the game goes on. He really should be a featured back if he was a veteran in another offense. And I hope we do not bury this guy's career because we don't know how to use him. But this is a guy who, for a 30-40 carry game, would be really good. And if he'd been out there, maybe now Elijah Mitchell's finger, these things happen. I mean, you're carrying the ball, you're trying to stiff arm people, things get flexed. It seems like it's a stress fracture or something. But even still, you just wonder where all these little injuries go if Sermon's taking some of the hits. And in a game like this, I would love to see him in there against the fatigued Jacksonville defense.
All I'm saying, though, yeah, I'm with you. All I'm saying is that it was amazing to see what the infusion of Jeff Wilson Jr. into the offense did for Kyle Shanahan.
I love Jeff Wilson.
No, I love him too, and everyone loves Kyle, trusts him, and all of a sudden Jeff Wilson's back, you have Mitchell, and it's like, okay, we're going for 40 runs. Great, you have 2 running backs you trust. Why couldn't you have done this the last 8 games with Trey Sermon? Like, I like Jeff Wilson Jr., he's a great story, but is he better than Trey Sermon? I don't know that. I think Trey Sermon could have done all these things that Jeff Wilson Jr. did, and the Niners could have actually won more games. We all were upset about Ayuk being in the doghouse. This is the one that's cost them. Sermon. It doesn't make any sense. They're a run-first team. They need him.
Yes. Absolutely. And we have been saying this for weeks. And I really wish that they hadn't leveled that dirty hit on him in the Philadelphia game, because I feel like Kyle Shanahan finally put him out there. He had a heck of a run, got his head taken off with a really dirty hit. And that was it. No more sermon after that.